Well, thank you so much for coming tonight. Welcome to Crafting Your Master Resume, which will equip you as library science students to grab that elusive position you've been coveting. We will cover in this lesson how to write a master resume from which you'll be able to tailor your resume for each specific job you apply to. At the end of this lesson, I will share a link in the chat for an exciting completion certificate for you all to print out and hang proudly on your wall. I will also share a link to a survey for you to fill out. During the presentation, I have some fun activities planned, so please be sure to have a pen and paper handy. And to get us warmed up for some engaging class participation, I want you all to tell me what you immediately think of when I use the term master resume. To annotate, go to the top of your screen, click the drop-down arrow that says View Options, then click Annotate. Go ahead and grab the mic or use the chat box if you have trouble locating that button or have any questions. I'm going to give us about 1 minute to do this. I see a great line there, bravo. Main resume that you use to tailor other resumes. Yes, that's a great way to describe what it is. Oh, let's see if I can move this around for you. I think I can. Oop. I think about a template. A template is another way to describe it, yes. I think of a template more as a frame, whereas the master resume is a list and a description. Always updated. Yes, that is a great note to always update your master resume anytime you change jobs or you are assigned new tasks in your current position. Your ideal resume. Ooh, I like that word a lot. Foundational. Okay. Professional, yes, absolutely. Your magnum opus. I love that. Thank you. It is indeed your magnum opus for resumes because you would then use that to tailor your resume for each position you would go and apply to. I think Mozart would be proud of that. Long and all-inclusive. Yes, it is long. I think there's a stigma with resumes. When you ask someone to write one, they automatically assume it can only be one page. And you worry, how can I fit everything on one page? The great thing with the master resume is it's just for you. So it can be as long as you want. Awesome. Thank you, guys. One resume that controls all resumes, one ring to control them all. Did I quote that right? I've seen that movie like once. That is exactly a wonderful way to describe what it is, yes. A really good resume. Yeah, it should be like the best resume. But again, also not, because you're going to be going through and tailoring it for each job you apply to. So it can be really good, it can be awesome, it can just be your first attempt. Everything is acceptable at this stage. Main resume that you use to tailor other resumes. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're about to cover. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and move us on by clearing this out. Closing this. All right. Master resumes. A master resume is a resume that exists just for you. It can be as long as the amazing professional journey you've had up until this point. A master resume is more than just listing positions, titles, and locations. A master resume is a narrative of your professional life distilled into helpful bullets similar to a job description. The purpose of a master resume is to evaluate job duties you've completed during each of your positions, written out in a way that will ultimately match up with the job descriptions you apply to in the future. Imagine the master resume as a full and complete list of everything you've ever done professionally, crafted specifically in a way that you were able to draw from those experiences efficiently when tailoring your resume for a specific job. Now, when I help colleagues with their resumes, I will ask them to tell me what a typical day looks like for each of their previous positions. I'll ask them to walk me through their tasks, and I will take notes as they talk. You may not have the luxury of having a friend listen to your entire professional story, but the great news is you can complete this task yourself. Keep it simple as you start out. Don't worry about writing every single thing down you've done. Focus on the big parts. Let's take a look at this example I wrote out of a current position I have. It is in narrative form and describes my actions and tasks in a typical day. I have bolded keywords I plan to frame my bullets around. For example, things that stick out from this narrative are set up the room, write down the subject and grade level, all grade levels, many different subjects, managing more than one student, and students are unruly. These stick out because they center around action verbs, something slightly out of the ordinary, or a direct description of a job duty or responsibility. Okay, guys, here's another group participation part. Take a couple minutes and write out 2 to 3 sentences which describe a typical day at your current or previous position. I specifically would like you to write this down on your piece of paper as well as sharing it to the screen through the annotation tool, because we will be using it later on in the lesson. Annotate the slide with sentences or grab the mic and share them with us in your own voice. Please also jump on the mic or on chat if you have any questions thus far. I'm going to give us about 2 minutes to do this. Are you guys ready? Go! Repeat the question, a typical day at work. Yes, so 2 to 3 sentences that focuses on big pieces of your responsibilities at work. Ooh, let me see if I can move these around for you. Select, I believe that's what that does. Yes. Does that make sense, Corinne?
Yes, I do not work in a library. So
okay.
I'm a high school teacher, so there are many interesting things that I get to do on a typical day.
Cool. And this definitely can apply to any job you've held, not just working in the library. So when you say you handle a lot of different things in your job, you want to describe that to me a little bit more?
Sure. Let me type something up for you.
Okay, cool. Ooh, this one's great. Let me move this around a little bit, if I can. Does anyone know if there's a way to change the font a little bit, like the size? Can change the color. Text. All right, well, I'm going to start reading one of these. Conduct reference interviews. Exactly. Okay, so you guys are superseding me a little bit. You're writing bullets already, which is wonderful. Another one says, oop. Crystal, can I not make these smaller? Guess not.
Will it let you, when you select it, like on one of the corners, will it let you shrink it? You know what I mean?
Ooh, okay. Like we would like a browser. Let's try that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You can change the font size on the format. That's new. That wasn't always in Zoom.
On the format tab? Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
The color is.
Yeah, you can change
it's
the
like
color.
set to 24 right now.
Oh, this is okay. So that's really big.
So you can change it to 12 is the smallest.
Yeah, that's new. That's awesome.
Okay, why don't you guys come in and help me a little bit and make yours a little bit smaller so we can go through some, those of you who have responded. Oh, thank you, Nick, for speaking and also putting it in the chat. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Format, here we go, make it 12. Okay, I'm gonna read this one out loud for us. Teach IL lessons to 4th and 6th graders. What is an IL lesson?
Yeah, spell it out, right? Information literacy.
Information literacy. I'm sorry, I don't automatically know that. My goodness. That's great. Okay. Offer readers advisory and book talks. Okay, these are great. I support teachers and students with information literacy, such as research elements, process circulation, and help with technology needs. Awesome. And this one says, organize events, conduct reference interviews, help people with technology problems. Wonderful. Shelving books, helping patrons with computer use, arranging shelves, and making displays. Guys, thank you so much for sharing so much of this. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and clear this out and move us on a little bit. Okay. Oop, I gotta close this first. Here we go. Okay, great. We've explored a couple narratives and we started to identify sections of those narratives that we could use to craft our bullets. Once you've created this content for your master resume, it'll be much easier for you to match skills with specific job descriptions you apply to. I'm going to walk us through a couple of these examples from my own narrative and then open it up for more annotation. Let's look at my first one, set up the room. Now this is straightforward, but it does not make as much sense outside the confines of our pre-written narrative. What I want to communicate is that I exhibited specific skills while completing this task, and I need to do so in a succinct way. So rewriting this duty to created a distraction-free space for students to learn by removing toys, bringing in comfortable seating, and providing educational signage is a much better way to communicate how much ownership I had in my tutoring position. Don't worry if you're lost or confused at this point. We're going to go through the process a few more times to firm up that pathway in your smart noggin. The next chosen section from my narrative is write down subject and grade level. Now this is very specific for this particular position, but it can be applied to a broader job duty that appears in many jobs in the librarianship field. I have rewritten this section to the bullet, kept detailed records of patron requests. You may be wondering, Havala, how did we get from here to there? In our modern world, librarians are being pressured to treat libraries as a business. A big piece of that attitude is keeping track of who we helped and with what. Another word for this is analytics. What we've done is take something simple and specific, like writing down the grade level and subject for each student coming in for tutoring help, and applying it to a skill that many librarians are expected to exhibit and complete on a regular basis. Are you guys ready to try this with me? Our objective for this section is to craft bullets from the narrative each of you wrote during the last annotation section, utilizing the process I just described. Annotate when you feel comfortable, and as always, grab the mic to read your bullets out loud or to ask questions. Great job so far, everyone. I'm going to give us about 2 minutes to do this.
Pavla, would you mind repeating the task for us, please? Thank you.
Yes, so for this particular section, and it might be a little confusing because what I was given at the first breakout section was you guys were already writing bullets for me rather than narratives. So I think a better way to reframe this would say, from the information you guys have already written down, how would you craft that within the broader context of librarianship or another industry that you're hoping to apply to. I just assumed it would be librarianship, but it could be information data management or something within that realm. Ooh, here we have one. Train patrons in the ethical use of intellectual property, including creating and formatting citations. Now this is awesome because it uses librarianship language such as patrons, and it points to your attitude during your work, your morality, ethical use. So employers love to see that. And you were descriptive because you used terms like intellectual property and then further broke that out by saying including creating and formatting citations, which is a huge aspect of combating against plagiarism. Thank you to whoever gave us that. Conduct reference interviews and provide readers advisories. Okay, this is awesome. But to me, I would like a little bit more information from readers advisories. Like, what is that? How does that happen? So I think it would be, maybe you could explain to me a little bit more what that is, because I actually haven't worked in a library yet. I've just volunteered. Or anyone who wants to put a little more flesh on what that is. Okay, let's move this a little bit. Oop. Facilitate student learning through inquiry and research. Yes, this is awesome. See, we have our action verb at the beginning, facilitating student learning, and then how that is happening through inquiry and research. One thing you could do to firm this up is to put in what context, like if that's at the reference desk or if you're a children's librarian. Let's see if I can make this one smaller. Effectively communicating with students and faculty in person and electronically. Yes, this is wonderful because again, communicating is an action verb. You're stating who you communicate with and how that is happening. Okay. Thank you so much to everyone who gave us some bullets. I'm going to go ahead and move us on through a little bit more of my material. Okay, let's do that. So we're just going to go through one more example for the interest of time. And this example, all grade levels. I'm going to grab these next two pieces together, all grade levels in many different subjects, because they are direct descriptors of the job title. This is a tutoring position, so it will be helpful to know what kind of subjects and grade levels this position deals with. I've rewritten this one to say, tutored students K through 12 for all subjects. Easy, right? It's important to note that because this bullet is a direct specific description of the tutoring position, it may not be relevant to all jobs you apply to. It would be if you're applying to another tutoring position, because that job would be very similar in that same position. All right. And now you've done it. Great job, everyone. I'm going to go through this chart, which I think firms up the pathway a little bit more. This process we've just explored is actually quite simple. First, we chose a job and wrote out a narrative following a typical day on that job. Then we went through and chose action verbs and unusual tasks to convert into descriptive bullet points. Then we reframed that chosen information by broadening the context, infusing positivity into our daily duties, and describing our skills as completely and yet simply as possible. It's important to remember the purpose of this exercise is to create a full and complete narrative of your professional life. The purpose of this lesson was to show this process specifically within the context of the librarianship field. The main takeaways are the process of writing the narrative for each of your positions, pulling out small sections, and then reframing those in bullet form. Don't bog yourself down worrying about it all being 100% correct, because this master resume will then be tailored to each specific job you apply to. Please grab the mic if you have any further questions, and I'm going to share a link with your completion certificate as promised, as well as a survey for you to fill out at your leisure. I'm going to open it up now for questions. It looks like we have about a minute left. Thank you, everyone.
And I'm going to hang tight for a minute so that people can pop up with questions.
Thank you, Katie.
So,
Thank you, Corinne.
yeah, great. I'm going to pause for a little bit more time here.
Thanks, Catherine. Crystal, I appreciate your honesty. I think we all lurk from time to time. Thank you, Jimmy.
Oh, it's supposed to be here for tech support.
Okay, yes, and Crystal is here for the first few minutes of the session, getting us launched and everything. So, Crystal, you should feel free to go on and finish up those last little items that you have for your work in the program. Okay, Crystal did just finish her e-port, so
wow.
to her. But hurrah to you, Havilah, for an excellent session. Thank you